Let's talk about love and marriage, the way that God intended. Life experience, here we share it. The No Fruit Podcast. Tune in from any platform. No Fruit Podcast. We'll help your spirit transform.
Hello.
Hello.
And welcome.
And welcome.
To another podcast with Maurice and me.
Welcome to our living room.
So glad you're here with us again.
Sure.
So much is going on, Reese.
Hmm?
I said so much is going on.
Mm-hmm. It is.
A lot.
Yeah. A whole lot.
Oodles and oodles.
I mean, if you say so. I mean, like, what's going on?
Oh, well, I don't know. Just.
I mean, the weather is crazy.
What
right?
do you mean? It's been up and down a little
It's
bit.
been up and down. You know, with
It's a typical, season, winter season here in the northeast corridor. Well, not typical because some people had really bad January.
I mean, we're in
February.
that Philadelphia area, so.
I said the northeast corridor.
Yeah, but what you're mentioning, like New York and Massachusetts, whatever, like, they've been hit.
Yeah, they've been hit.
We haven't been hit like them.
No, that's what I said.
Yeah.
Some have gotten a little more.
And they weren't just a little more. They were
several feet of snow.
They call me Mr. Boombox. I'm sorry. Here we go with the song.
Oh, goodness. I lost what I was saying because you started singing.
I'm sorry.
And dancing.
Yeah. Sometimes when you're in a happy mood.
Yes.
Or you just chilling.
You're not chilling. You're happy. And you have a lot to be happy for.
Nope, I don't.
You do. You do. You have a really interesting, productive week and past few weeks, I think.
Yeah, I have.
Been very busy.
Most definitely.
Some great things have been going on. In reference to Maurice, for those who don't know or haven't been following Maurice D. Chisholm Sr. on social media, he's been doing some great things and has been recognized for podcasting.
A little bit, just a little.
Tell us a little bit about it. What's going on?
I been recognized as I was nominated as a nominee for Best Podcast.
Best Podcast. Woo!
For That Will Never Work podcast by the World Entertainment Awards.
Wow.
And so
the whole world.
I mean whatever part of the world they cover.
Yes.
But yeah, so yeah, I am an official nominee. And that has brought a lot with it. And here's what I mean by that. Sometimes here we go with the seriousness. My whole face changed.
Oh, goodness.
I was in a happy mood. Now I'm serious.
Well, serious could be happy. Go ahead. Bring it to us.
But see, one of the things that we talk about in this podcast of No Fruit Podcast, we talk about growth, right? And we talk about growth in, as individuals, as in marriage and with our kids and, whatever it might be. And so I had to grow in order for me to even venture out to be nominated. I had to grow in order for, and not only am I nominated for an award, but I have also put myself out there to be a judge on multiple award shows. And
you've been a judge on another podcast as well.
I have.
But sticking to this world thing that's going on, this nomination that you have.
Yes.
Tell us, how did you learn about it? How did you know that you were nominated?
I mean, I knew I was nominated by an email.
Oh, you got an email.
But so here's the reality, and this goes for anyone out there that's looking for something, right? You have to do your research.
Okay.
So I did my research because my co-host right here challenged me to be better.
And I think you challenged yourself.
I mean, yes, but but I think here's what I mean by that, because she, being Kafa, said, you know what, Maurice, I got your back. And sometimes we forget about who's really supporting you and why they're supporting you and what comes with that. And so even though she may not come out here directly and say, Maurice, do better, not all the time. She'll say it, but not all the time. But I understand in her Kafa way what she means by that. Mm-hmm. And so, so in order for me to even get to the point of even putting my name in the hat, if you will, to be even nominated, I had to get over my own self. So I believe that once I decided that I'm going to stop holding myself back, one. Number two, I decided that in that I'm going to believe what God has for us. Has not just for me, but for us. It was an us thing. And so, and understand what I said, because I didn't say those out of order. Mm-hmm. Some people might take it like, Maurice, that sounds like it's out of order. It isn't, because there's a part of that where I even had to just trust God. You get what I mean?
Right,
so,
right.
So there were some things that even within myself, I had to like, is God is real? It's that song, Jesus is real. Like, do you really believe that? Mm-hmm. We sing it. We've sung it. We dance to it, whatever else. But here's the thing. In a sense of, again, us and our songs, whatever else, Kafa knows that, and I have certain lists or songs on like repeat right now because of the way it motivates me. And so one of the songs, and some of y'all, would definitely notice, I'll Go. And when you think about that song, what does it really mean? Mm-hmm. And so that was on repeat for maybe 2 weeks before I threw my name in the hat to even apply and take a look at the any award show, let alone the one that I got nomination for. Because I looked at a lot, and I told Kafa before the end of the year that I was going to apply to 2 to 3 for this year. This year right now, that was my goal for this year. No, I'm sorry. No, it was 3 to 4 for this year. Well, I applied before last year ended.
Right.
And again, that is getting over myself. It's like, hey, why put off until tomorrow what I can do today?
And it was funny you say that, because I was reading a post somewhere on social media, because I never remember what I'm looking at and where I'm looking at things. But it said, in reference to what you just said, why put off for tomorrow what you can do today? Because then you're really like, it's almost like you're challenging God. Mm-hmm. Like God is giving you today to get these things done. Mm-hmm. And you are like, no, I'm not going to do it today, God. I'm going to put it off until some other time. Mm-hmm. Some people might say, oh, you're really trusting God because you think, he's going to provide for you tomorrow. Mm-hmm. But we all know tomorrow is not promised. Mm-hmm. So that's big that you, jumped at this opportunity that you found, like you said, last year, December. And it could have been 2 days before the end of the year. We don't, I don't know the exact date and time. But so like you said, with all of this, you had to look at the inner man. Mm-hmm. and get an idea of, hey, one, what is it that I want? Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, getting over yourself, mm-hmm. Doing some self-reflection, and what is it that you really, really want, and how do you get there? How do you achieve that? And the flesh has to die daily. Like, we have to get over some of ourselves and pass some things often in order to move forward.
And sometimes that's easier said than done.
Oh, most definitely. Especially when it's yourself. Like, who wants to stop,
right?
Or try something new or what? Like, it's hard,
right?
It can be hard.
And so even when you think about this, how can you coach someone? As most of you may know, I'm a certified business and entrepreneur coach. I'm also in school, you know, and so there's a lot of different things and places and people that I'm talking to that is actually sewing into me, where I'm not just always sewing out.
Right.
You know,
and I think, just sorry to cut you off real quick, but
good.
I think that's part of what motivated you to go ahead and step out from behind the scenes and to push yourself to put your hat in to this award show.
Right.
Is because you're hearing from your peers, man, you got this.
Right.
Like, you're doing an excellent job. I think
Right.
because a lot of times we look at things and we're not where we want to be, and we self-doubt and we sabotage things because, hey, you know, it's not where I want it to be, and let me just keep pressing harder. Let me just keep, you know, moving forward and not stop for a moment and look at where we are and congratulate ourselves and receive those accolades from where we are. You know what I mean? But I think sometimes we're like, oh no, you know, I'll do the award thing when I can get so big.
Right.
But it's like, no, I'm climbing up.
Right.
You know, I'm not all the way to the top, but I'm part way there.
Right.
And let me, you know, throw my name in the hat and see what happens, because you're getting so much positive feedback from others in your industry. So why wouldn't you get nominated? Why wouldn't people recognize you? Why wouldn't they? Because they are.
Right.
So, you know, applause to you for
Thank you.
getting to that space and that place, you know. And I think, you know, even though you said, well, you know, hey, was the order off or whatever, but God had to be first in that for you to even to hear that.
I got you.
You know
I
what I
got
mean?
you.
For you to even
I
hear the
that.
accolades, because I think sometimes you're like, but no, not really. You know, there's a lot of times I think that happens, that people say, you know, job well done, and you know that it's not where you want it to be, and you're like, well, you didn't see how bad it really was, so you don't really know, like it's not where I want it to be, or you're just saying that, you're just pacifying me, you know, or patronizing, you know, whatever. Like, you feel as though it's not true and so genuine, you know, and you won't move forward. So again, kudos to Maurice for this nomination. When will you know who's the winner?
I don't know. I won't know. See.
Well, we're claiming it right now. You're the winner. You're our winner.
Here's the thing. So
you're my winner.
Yeah, I thank you, babe. You know, I think what happens is because I did not attend.
Right.
You know, this is already passed. The winner was already announced, and the one thing about this is it has not been announced on internet at all.
Right.
I can't find it to save myself. You know, if I was drowning in a stick of butter, I couldn't find it. I'm sorry.
The visual, you guys.
Yo, I'm sorry. You know, but I'm sorry, God. You know, but I couldn't find it, you know, so, and I even emailed the company, you know, and they're like, nope, we'll let you know because we got to let everybody know.
Right.
So the reality is that now I understand, again, how some of these things work. Some things are totally live, and then some things are pre-recorded, you know, and those are things that you got to learn, right? You know, and
so even, I guess, the winners are not even allowed. Those that were there and present, I guess, have to sign some, you know, disclosure agreements and can't share anything.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So even if I was there, I couldn't tell you.
Oh.
Hint. You know, so, you know, but you know, we'll figure it out. We'll find out. But that goes for any of you that's out there. You know, sometimes you have to get out your own way. You know, you got to get out your own way. You got to get, and for like myself, getting out my own way is getting out my own head.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, as Kaf is saying, doubt myself. There's a lot of times I doubted myself. A lot of times where, you know, as Kaf mentioned, I might not be on par with someone else. For those of you who don't know, I really don't like my voice. Now, here's the reality. Kafa says I have a lot of words, so I use my voice a whole heck of a lot.
A whole lot of the time.
So for someone who doesn't like their voice, they use an awful lot.
A lot.
So, but here's a reality. As often as I have said that I don't like my voice, it's been that many times over where it's like, no, Maurice, you have such a radio voice.
You've
like
heard that, yes.
You're perfect for this space. Your voice works. So that's where it's like, all right, Maurice, again, get over yourself. Figure this thing out.
Exactly.
And let's move
or
this thing
don't figure
forward.
it out. Just move forward.
Well, that's not the way I work. But what I mean by so for me though, of figuring it out is, Maurice, you're a dummy. Keep it moving. That's me figuring it out. I didn't. So here's what I mean by that. I'm not saying, because in other cases I would have had to write out a whole plan, a dissertation. Well, Kyle, I got to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps, and now I'm only on step, 0.7. Well, Maurice, when are you gonna get to 1? Well, Kyle, I'm working on it. I'm getting there. All right, Maurice, it's 3 months later. Where are you at now? 0.7 didn't work, so I'm now at 0.3. Well, can you at least get to 1? And so those are the things, because I'm overthinking things. I'm over-processing. I'm over-analyzing. I have spoken to this person, that person, whatever else, that's thrown more doubt in my way.
I was going to say, I think it's more so, it's not that you're not moving forward. It's you're moving forward, but just in a linear way. So like you said, you're doing the research and trying to figure out, hey, what's going to be the way to get me there. And you're not moving towards it. You're just asking questions, which makes you a great podcaster and interviewer, because that's what you do. I got the question down pat, baby. That's right.
So, but here's the other thing. And I just said this to our daughter, because it was I think it's a great quote from Denzel. And I'm pretty sure most of you have heard it on TikTok and Instagram stories or whatever else, where he says, don't confuse movement with progress. And sometimes we're moving and not understanding where we're really going. And so, yeah, you could be moving in a circle, but a circle is not necessarily progress.
Right.
Or you could be, walking in a circle. You could be spinning in a circle, but let's understand it's not progress. You're not moving towards your actual goal, whatever that might be. And sometimes we, as Christians, I'm gonna be all the way real. A lot of times we get stuck on I'm gonna stand right here and wait. Okay, but then isn't there somewhere it says, I'm about to take a step, he'll take 2? So which one do you believe in? When do you know which one is which? Because sometimes you're not going to always hear the voice. You're not going to always get that tap on the shoulder. You're not going to always get the lightning strikes. You're not going to get it. So what happens if it's something as subtle as Maurice, take a step? Okay, that's somebody who told me that in the market. Maurice, take a step. Now it's a person that I just interviewed. Maurice, take a step. Now it's someone that's in the kid's school. Like, so how are you? What are you doing? Like, how you know what my story is? Like, so sometimes we're looking for the directness of God, or whatever it might be.
Those miracles,
right?
Those miracles, signs and wonders that we, like you said, that we're looking for, that it's going to be like, something miraculous has to happen so I can take this one little baby step.
Right.
And sometimes the miracle is you taking that baby step.
Yeah.
You stepping out on faith and you just doing it.
Right.
I think that is the miracle. It doesn't always have to be something prior to. You need a prelude before you move forward.
And some people, that's what they're looking for. And some people expect that. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. You get what I mean?
But you might miss something on it.
You could, yes.
You may miss something on it. You know what I mean? So, again, like you said, hey, if you would not have listened to the compliments and taken them seriously, then you may not have moved forward. You may not be, a nominee.
Well, here is the other part of this too. If you ask for it, don't be afraid of the response. Mm-hmm. And so here's what I mean. After I do every interview, so for that will never work. And I understand, sometimes people don't like to give a plug, or, on another podcast. But here's the thing. I'm plugging on my own stuff.
Plug it in.
Right? So on That Will Never Work, overall for the 5 years, now I started That Will Never Work after we started No Fruit. Mm-hmm. So because for those of you who understands, you kind of want to keep certain things in certain lanes. So this is the family stuff. Like, we talk about family, marriage, whatever, right? So I very rarely talk about business stuff on here because I want to keep it light. Everyone is not in this space. Mm-hmm. So for those of you who listen to that one, and before I go on That Will Never Work, then, before I even started No Fruit, I had neighbors, which was with my actual neighbors. So we talked about community stuff and, because it was guys, we were talking about fatherhood and male health and, all that, guy stuff, if you will. Football, basketball, like we had a whole lot of guys. So barbecuing, talking about the wives who made potato salad. Like, we had all these other crazy conversations, right? But then because those two, the two being neighbors and No Fruit, I could not figure out That'll Never Work concept. Because if those of you who know, small business consultant, 12 years. So how do I fit that into any of these? And it just wasn't figuring out, it wasn't working out. So started That'll Never Work. And but over the life of that show, so Neighbors and No Fruit are 6 years old, and That'll Never Work is 5 years old. So with with That'll Never Work, I have interviewed over 50 people.
Right.
In 5 years. More importantly, over the last 2 has been 40 of them, right? Mm-hmm. So I've been on my grind with that.
Yes.
Which is what Kafa is talking about talking about people that's in your industry. Mm-hmm. That's where you are, where you want to get to. It's a difference when you talk to people that for where you want to be. Because sometimes you talk to people that where you are, you don't move.
Right.
You're not encouraged. Then you talk to people that are where you want to be, they actually come off as if they are where you are, right? Because they're humble or whatever. Some people have been, some people have not. But here's the thing that's across the board. No one has given me any feedback that was negative.
Right.
Now, there was one or two that might have said, Maurice, change your wording.
Okay.
Because so you want to say, hey, Maurice, what was that spark? Well, is that one guy, I can't remember his name. I can see his face. Oh gosh.
Don't worry about it.
But he said to me, because he was asking, Maurice, what are you doing? Where you going or whatever else? Well, I'm trying to do and I'm trying to do and I'm trying to do.
Right. I remember. Mm-hmm.
And then he said, Maurice, you're doing it. Stop it. Plain as day.
Stop saying the word try.
Yep. Mm-hmm. You're doing it. So now when it comes down to the Christmas break, and I need to find a way to, when I sit here and talk to my wife, my business partner, right, about what my next steps are of how to grow more and get out of my shell, I come across award shows.
Okay.
There you go. And
but then, again, that's God. Like, just why did that pop up at that particular time? Of all the other times, and like you said, all the other years, 12 years that you've been doing this, that hasn't popped up before.
You know why? Because, and this is something that maybe some of you need to hear. You need to niche yourself down to one or two things. Mm-hmm. Period. Stop doing everything. Period. And also the reality is that some of us have so much control, we're choking our our blessing or whatever out. So we want control. And so once you determine that, and let's back up for a second.
Right.
My first level of control was a year ago where I started to let go.
Mm-hmm.
Again, my wife, my business partner said, Maurice, because she knew I was struggling. I wanted to do, Kyle, if you remember, I wanted to redo the intros.
Yes.
I was really harping on redoing the intros for all 3 shows. So I'm sitting here trying to figure out, oh man, when am I going to pull out this keyboard? What am I going to do? Blah, 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 blah. I went into Fiverr. Real rap. I went to Fiverr, chose 3 different people.
I had said outsource some things. I did say to you, you're doing a lot. And Maurice would always come to me and say he was overwhelmed and would always ask for help. And I'm like, well, how do I help? Oh, I don't know, but I need help. So I think during one of our talks, I kind of said, like, just outsource some things. Figure out what it is that you can outsource. I said, you've talked about these companies years and years ago. Are they still in existence? Can you use them? I said, look at some of our other friends who are in business. They've outsourced some things. They've gotten college students to do something. They've gotten, they've paid for assistants, personal assistants. Where are you? What do you need?
Right.
Figure that part out and let's go from there. So go ahead, babe. Tell it.
Oh, no. So after she made that suggestion, I started looking around and I had a few conversations here and there. And I was like, you know what, Maurice? You have something right here that you look at periodically anyway, which is Fiverr.
Right.
Now, it did take me probably a good 2 months before I decided, maybe even 3, because it took me a while on who to use, what to use, and what was the wording and things like that. Again, had to think, that's the other part, but we'll get into this in a minute. So once I figured out who I was going to use or whatever else, I told Kafa, like, yo, this is who I'm going to use. And we sat there, listened to the, the examples in bed, and then I would listen to them again and again. Excuse me. And then next thing you know, Kafa's just like, she's just looking at me all blank. And I think what it was, she was like, boy, if you don't just do it and get out my face. Like, that was a look. Like, I'm tired of you talking. But again,
it goes back to, like you said, like, you think you're doing level 0.01, and it's just because you're doing so much research and you're thinking so deeply about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, again, it's a company that you've already worked with. You have been on the other side and have looked at bids and have responded to bids.
Right.
So now you're
I'm on the other side.
You're on the other side asking for somebody to assist you instead of you assisting someone else. So
right.
So just go ahead and do it. If you don't like it, you don't have to use it. You know what I mean? So
I just didn't want to pay for it. You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is, we've purchased it, and for the most part, we've had great, feedback on all 3 shows, and so now, I've put them in, I implemented them. I feel a lot better. I felt like the stress, a little bit more stress was off of me. But then, remember I had just mentioned about something else, like, oh yeah, I'll get to that in a minute.
Yes.
See, the problem was of also thinking I need to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in thinking that I had to be perfect, that also hindered my growth, or my progress.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you're moving, you're writing stuff down, but don't confuse, movement with progress. Because just because I'm moving, just because I'm doing the research, I never moved forward.
Never move forward with it, right.
So those are all my things that I have had to learn and grow. And that's just a sample. That's not everything.
Exactly.
But that's just a sample of where we've gotten to the point where I can say I am a nominee for an award.
That's great.
And so, as Kafa said to you earlier, I've had to do a lot of reflection, inflection, around the flexion,
a lot of flexing.
Right. Understanding where I was at that time and how much prayer and fasting, like there's so many things that has happened since I did the Fiverr until today.
Right.
a lot has changed. My life has changed. The way I go about things, even the content that I pull in, even though I still look at ratchet stuff, like, let's not get it twisted, right? Like, I still look at ratchet stuff, right? But, but I look at it from a different lens, because, for those of you who are in this business of podcasting or even preaching or whatever it might be,
Right.
For those of my preacher friends that's out there, I look at the ratchet stuff because it brings content. And for some of us, possibly we could use that same type, that same information in our messages because we have no clue who's sitting out there in those pews.
Mm-hmm.
We have no clue what they're all dealing with. And it may not be them directly, but it could be their sister, their brother, their cousin, whoever it might be. Like, they might be a little closer to the situation than we know.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I look at the ratchet stuff, and I talk to Kaf and Kaf, she don't look at ratchet stuff. She don't look at it when I look at it.
Yeah, I look at it when you look at it. Like you said, my lens is
Rosie.
No, I'm saying when I look at the ratchet stuff, it's more so like you said, hey, being humbled that I don't have to deal with that stuff. I don't have in-law issues. I don't have, my mom ain't sleeping with my son and, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Now, is it in the family somewhere? Oh,
Possibly.
yeah. I got some ratchet people in my family.
Oh, yeah.
Ratchet people at work and, wherever it may be, it is around us.
Right.
So I'm not blind to it.
Right.
But I'm not entertained by it either.
Well, here's the thing. Again,
I used to, and don't get it wrong. I want to paint the picture the right way. I do at times look at, and Marisha's always asks me, why are you looking at this? The housewives.
I would say housewives.
Yeah, the housewives thing. And I don't look at it that much anymore. But at one time I was looking at it, not because I didn't follow them like that. I didn't know who they was married to and what they were really going on. For some of them I did, a little. But sometimes it was for trends. Like, what are they wearing? What color? What's the hairstyles? And I'm like, oh, well, that's the new pocketbook. And then, Reese would say, what you want for Christmas? I'm like, oh, look, the girl on the show had a pocketbook that was this. So that must be what's in style. These big pocketbooks ain't in style no more. So you got to give me a smaller pocketbook next year, So it may have been those types of things or just what to wear. So I pay attention to that part of things. Of just some of those trends, so not so much of the infighting and whatnot. Some of them have businesses and they're strong business people, so you kind of pay attention to that. Again, they're not sharing how they got to that platform and how they got to that place.
Mm-hmm.
But you cheer them on like, hey, you could be a prominent business person, so there may be a lesson here or there within it. But, other than that, not too much ratchet stuff.
Yeah, not overall.
No.
Not overall.
I mean, there's enough ratchetness, again, in other places.
Well, I mean, and for those of you who knows, I've said it to Kav, I say it to the kids, whatever. A lot of times ratchet, Kafa says not, she's not looking at it as entertainment. Sometimes I do. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
fun.
Funny.
It's funny.
You know, sometimes it's funny. Be like, yo, wow, like really.
But I watch the news every day, but you don't watch the news every morning. So I watched, the local news, and I watch the world news during lunch.
Right.
So that's kind of, I guess, my ratchetness. Like, what's going on with this president and this?
Yeah.
So many different things,
Right.
and I watch world news, so I'm listening to BBC and what's going on in England and what's going on in Africa, so it's like I don't have to listen to
the other ratchet.
Yeah, I don't have to listen to the mother-in-law doing something with the.
Let's also understand the ratchet stuff that I'm listening to, which is a lot of law stuff, and I'm listening to it because I'm taking a legal class right now too. So I'm listening to what they're saying. So it's more educational. I take it as entertainment and I laugh at it. But
I mean, some of the things, start to say when someone gets arrested and you watch that, like, that's been a learning thing for me, like, because I've never been arrested. So, but what to say, what not to say, hey, what to do, what not to do. I think you can learn from looking at some of those things.
Right.
When you look at, the court series and, hey, people are in court because they did something or they're in child custody court. And then I think, what's the other one you look at? So you can't learn a whole lot from there, but just the different players. Like we said, we didn't know that so many people were involved in the court case. Like, wow, like I thought it was just the judge and the attorney. You know what I mean? Like, no, there's this other person and this. So just didn't know that there were so many people involved.
And see, even with that just, it doesn't help me in my legal stuff, but our daughter who wants to be in that space also. Like she wants that to be her career, so it helps us to even talk with her.
Right.
So
she don't know we learned it from there.
Yeah, she doesn't. So I think there's a lot of things as we're talking about growth. This is so one of the things I want y'all to understand from this show, we're talking about growth and personal growth, and personal being all the way around.
Yes.
Whether it's emotional, physical, spiritual, whatever it might be, we're talking about growth and how do you get to that point. So
and recognizing that you whether you want to or not, we're all growing.
Right.
So you used to say back in the day, you learn something new every day.
I don't want
in
to
that
do
voice.
I don't want to deal with that voice later on.
That's my old lady voice.
I know, that's what I said. I hope I don't have to deal with that later on.
Why?
Thank y'all very much for listening today. I appreciate y'all.
I appreciate you. And everybody, let's give it up for Maurice and his nomination. Woo-hoo! So proud of you.
Thank you. We ain't got no more. I guess I gotta eat a brownie. I was gonna have a snack. I wanted some silk chocolate pie with brownie topping on it. It's so fat boyish. I'm sorry.
I said it's on sale. We can still go there and get one.
Yes, and guess what, y'all? We gotta go pick up the boy from work. So, we thank y'all for listening today. Okay.
All righty.
Talk to y'all later.
Bye.
This week's episode has come to an end. But the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like, share, and get involved. Join us next time.